ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday, the final day of March 31st. Remember to donate to Mustache March, ECU Baseball. Great cause to raise awareness to strike out ALS. I posted the link on our Twitter yesterday online, and also you can go to ECU Baseball. I believe the championship of the Mustache March bracket for the best mustaches on the baseball team is today for East Carolina baseball. Yes, it is down to Gabe Beschloss and Davin Whitaker, who will take home the 2026 Mustache March Championship. So I know a lot of people disappointed right now with the recent ECU Baseball Week, but still a great cause. Remember, as March wraps up, to go and support that cause against a terrible disease, ALS, which has affected so many people. So I just wanted to lead with that today on the program. All right, we've got a fun show ahead. We're going to talk some ECU baseball. We'll get into that. Frank Saccone getting the start today against the UNCW Seahawks, so an in-state rivalry inside Clark LeClaire Stadium tonight. We'll also look around the American in baseball. Couple surprises outside of ECU. We'll get into that in our third segment. We'll take a look at how our updated brackets are looking with the Final Four now here. But we're going to lead today with some spring football talk. We haven't had the chance to really dive into spring. We haven't had a ton of access, admittedly, but we did talk to Blake Harrell again on Monday for the second check-in of camp. Next week, we're scheduled to talk to the coordinators, get to know them for the first time, Jordan Davis and Jordan Hankins. I can confirm they do exist. I have seen them out at practice. We'll hear from them for the first time next week, so looking forward to that. But we'll get into some of the early standouts, some of the early buzz we're hearing in camp. Comments section is open on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Not a surprise, Lane Smith already in the chat with a negative comment. So he's got to start pre-gaming, he says, for the game, because for what he's going to have to watch later. So whatever it takes, Lane, to get you through another ECU baseball game. But we'll see you out there, hopefully. Philip Hilgen, he's back in 94.3 The Game studios. You can hear him on the Patrick Johnson Show later today with Dylan Johnson, play-by-play voice. Philip, how you doing?
I'm good, Steven. How are you? Is that eye better? You're going to wink at me all day today?
Better. It is doing better, and it's one of those things. I can still feel it a little bit, but it's improving day by day, a little bit more than 1% better every day. And so looking forward to that. I will not be, at least at the start of the ECU baseball game tonight, because it is my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to Cannon Igo. She's turning 3. We're going to go to a local Mexican place for dinner around dinner time. So I'll miss the start of the baseball game. I'm hoping to catch the end. But happy birthday to Cannon. So a lot of birthdays in the Igo household.
Yeah, you guys have had a lot lately. Happy birthday, Cannon. And which one of your interns do I have the pleasure of hanging out with for 9 innings tonight?
I believe tonight is James Giglio and Peyton Brady. So two of our finest interns will be in the building, hardworking young people. So they'll handle it well, and I'm hoping everybody up there is in a good mood. You know that the press box mood can vary depending on how the team's doing. I've learned that over the years. So hopefully it's a solid mood. Hopefully the Pirates play well. All right, we'll get more into that in our second segment, ECU UNCW. ECU football. It's, we got another somewhat, analogy from Blake Harrell yesterday, a good news analogy that not only is his daughter's, volleyball?
Volleyball team.
Daughter's volleyball team's getting better. So is the ECU football team. The Pirates are getting better on the gridiron. Now, again, the access has been limited, but I thought being out there Monday morning, you could feel a little bit better energy. You could feel a little bit better cohesiveness watching the teams go to work. I saw some team period as I was walking up for the end of practice. I was looking through the fence. Don't find me, ECU football, but I was looking through the fence at some of the stuff going on at the end of practice to see what was going down. I saw some plays being made, specifically by the wide receivers. And the quarterbacks were throwing good balls, but I was just impressed by the receiver position. And we'll get more into this in a minute when we hear from Blake Carroll. But I think if there's one area that stands out to me early in camp, Phillip, it's the skill position offensively. I think they're going to be good. Now, I don't know who the guys are going to be in terms of, all right, it's 3rd and 5. Who am I going to throw the ball to? Or it's, 1st and 10, we need to kill clock. Who am I going to give the ball to? I'm still waiting to see who those guys are. But, I like the depth and I like the playmaking ability I'm seeing on the perimeter. I like the playmaking ability I'm seeing at running back, and I like what I'm seeing at tight end, too, as far as catching the ball. Offensive line, we'll get more into that. That's still an area that needs to grow. But we kind of talked about it in all of our offseason previews. The skill positions had a chance to be very good. And thus far, I think they're kind of living up to that potential moniker.
Well, if you need somebody to kill the clock, you just tell Caden Boozer or Caleb Foster to dribble the clock out. That's how you kill clock with 14 minutes left in the game. Now, look, the offensive skill guys definitely, I think, are a step ahead of the defensive skill guys. That's also how we felt at this, spot last year. It seems like they've got some athletes for sure. They've got some guys who can make some plays. Now, the thing is, and we're going to hear from Blake here in a second, kind of talk about it, is like, who can be an athlete, who can make a play, but who can also be good at doing the non-fun stuff, the dirty work, the blocking, all that as well. And, I think the issue kind of too, Stephen, that you brought up there, the actual issue is maybe a bad term. It's March 31st. Who's going to be the guy? Because I think right now, 1 through 8, 1 through 9 in the receiver room, you don't feel like there's a lot of fall off. That's great. There's a lot of bodies. You don't feel susceptible to injuries. You don't feel susceptible to guys being tired late in the game because you can rotate bodies. But in today's college football, and today's football in general, you got to have a dude in that receiver room, and preferably 2 if you want to go out there and actually, accomplish the goals that it is very clear, I think, from our first media availability that Blake Carroll has set for the team, and the Military Bowl is not that goal.
One definite standout I've noticed, and just from what I've heard about at the receiver position, a newcomer, is Ray Joseph, the Miami transfer slot receiver. Was stuck behind some really good players at Miami. Just didn't get a chance to play as much as he originally thought he did. I mean, Malachi Toney was arguably the best slot receiver in college football last year. He came in and surpassed Ray. Before that, it was Xavier Restrepo, who is now in the league. So he's been stuck behind some very good players. Every time I've seen him make a play in team period this spring, he has a habit of making guys miss, getting upfield, and it just seems like a big yards after catch receiver. So I think he's going to play a role. Jeremiah Melvin made a big catch on the perimeter during spring practice yesterday on a pass from Mitch Griffiths over a cornerback jump ball. That's kind of what he was brought in for. We know Brock Spalding's going to be Brock Spalding. Landon Sides, the North Texas transfer, can play in the slot or outside. He's a little bit bigger than I thought he'd be, but he has legitimate straight line speed. He's going to be a guy who can beat you over the top. Haven't heard as much about Jakeith Hamilton, the Furman transfer, but he's another veteran who should be able to step in, catch some passes. I've seen him out there some. Tyler Johnson, former Penn State transfer. This is his second year. He's been consistently making plays out wide. So that's 6 guys right there. That's not even counting Dawson Quarterman, the freshman receiver who I'm really high on. Jaquez Petaway, he's still at the program. He's still out there. Johnny Williams from Havelock, he's in the second year. Connor Hodge, a second-year receiver as well. And then Dylan Lorick. So, I mean, you're talking about 10, 11 guys there that I feel pretty good about at receiver. So my question to Blake Carroll, we'll run this cut, Phillip, was a lot of these guys, specifically Brock, specifically Ray, and also Landon, have extensive experience in the slot. So how do you try to make all these guys work, and is that a concern early in camp? This was his answer.
First of all, we're talking about developing players right now. It's not about developing plays. I told both sides of the football that. Sometimes, and I was this way as a coordinator too, you get caught up in your install or caught up in getting this pressure in or this scheme in or this concept in. And you forget, we got to go back to the fundamentals and talk about tackling, talk about blocking, talk about leverage, talk about footwork, first step, our eyes, all those things. And that's what we got to develop the most of, is developing those guys. And then at some point, how can we get our best 11 out there? Is it Brock? Is it Ray? Is it Landon? Or whoever it may be? Is Jeremiah Melvin going to step up? Is Tyler Johnson going to be more consistent? If those guys are, then we have a really good problem.
So there's Blake Carroll, and I kind of like this approach. It sounds like they aren't overthinking it early in spring, just finding out who can play, and then you figure out where the pieces go later, which I think is the right approach when you have so many new pieces. But the reality is, too, like, I don't know if you really want 3-4 guys on the field that are, 5'10" and smaller. I think Landon's listed at 5'11", and Brock's 5'10", Ray's 5'10". So, like, you probably have at most, I would think, 2 of those guys, unless you're going with a 4-receiver set on the field at the same time, Philip. So I'm curious how this is all going to play out once the games arrive.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. Like, in a way, it would be nice if it was like, okay, one of these 3 guys is going to start, right? And you've got your 3 big body guys, and then it's like one of these 3 is going to start in the slot, and one of these 3 is going to be, more your Z. But, or more your X, I guess. Yeah, because your Z would be your bigger body. But, it's just like, I don't know, man. I like that early they've got this approach. His message has been consistent throughout camp of we're going to worry about the fundamentals. We're going to worry about us. We're not going to be too caught up in the playbook. We're not going to be too caught up in, like, actually executing football. We're going to worry about being good football players, developing team chemistry first, and then we're going to worry about putting it on the field. So I do get it, but it is kind of like you said, who's going to be the big body guy? Who's going to be the jump ball guy? Who's going to be, the guy you can throw the ball to in the corner of the end zone? And, like, you've got to be able to do it in a multitude of ways. And, look, let's just be honest. The red zone offense over the last decade at East Carolina has not been great. And so I think this is a reasonable concern amongst the fans and us in the media.
And I'm curious, I haven't seen enough of Ray to know if he could be this type of guy, but does he end up being a guy who could line up in the backfield, really be more of a gadget guy than than even just a slot receiver? And if you could do that, then you can even move some more chess pieces around. And again, you're probably too early in the offseason to start experimenting with that stuff, but I wonder if you have a lot of guys of that build, like we've seen the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel thrive with an offense on a lot of short, fast receivers because they are utilized in a variety of ways. I'm curious how creative Jordan Davis can be.
Yeah, I wonder what Ray's role was at Miami. If he was the true backup to Malachi Tony in every single facet, the answer to your question is yes. Because Tony did line up in the backfield. Tony did line up in the slot and then go in orbit motion, was in the backfield when the ball was snapped. Or was it one of these plays are only in the playbook if Tony is in the game? And we don't know that. However, it sounds like there's a decent relationship amongst the Miami staff and the East Carolina staff. It sounds like they weren't like, hey, Ray, blank you for leaving. I think they helped him. So, hopefully maybe some of these conversations have gone on over the phone behind closed doors so that maybe our coaching staff knows that, even if, to your point, Steven, they're not yet experimenting with it.
The other thing with Ray is I would expect to see him in the return game. He averaged 8.4 yards per punt return over 27 games, 20 returns, which is a pretty healthy average for the Hurricanes. Also did some kick returning as well. So I just expect him to touch the ball in a lot of ways for East Carolina. Outside of the receiver position, we heard Stephen Collier's name, a redshirt freshman tight end, yesterday for the first time. He was a guy at high school that I really liked. It's kind of a hybrid tight end. Blake mentioned he's got to get better as a blocker, but I liked it there. They're already kind of highlighting him as a potential receiving tight end after losing a couple of dynamic playmakers last year. Defensively, he talked a lot about DJ Johnson stepping up at inside linebacker, and I wanted to ask him, like, obviously inside linebacker is his baby. Jordan Hankins has now come in as DC. He's coaching that group, but it's good to see DJ take a step forward. You got some other older guys in that room, Jackson Barker, former walk-on, who is also grown into a scholarship player, pushing for a starting position. Hankins brought in 2 Memphis transfers with him, Cruz Law and Cade Law. Both those guys are coming along as well. We saw Chad Fairchild, a freshman linebacker, deliver a blow on Friday during Student Appreciation Day that went viral on social media. So you've got some bodies there. We know Coach Tesh is going to be Coach Tesh up front. So Philip asked about that yesterday. And then I asked specifically about cornerback because to me that's one of the the rooms where I don't know who's going to be starting as of today, and Blake admitted he doesn't either. And I don't think that's a surprise. You basically have a completely new room. Now, he did mention and single out at this point early in the offseason that Ashton Levels, the transfer from FIU, is playing well, can play some man coverage. And he also mentioned Darian Horsley, the redshirt freshman who played a couple games last year. The biggest thing that stands out to me about the corner room, Phillip, is those two guys. Horsley is listed at 6'2", 196, big physical corner. Levels listed at 6'1", and 100 and let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, 170 pounds. So not the biggest guy, but long, lengthy, can run. I do, and he mentioned he thinks the room is better talent-wise than last year, and now it's just a matter of can they get the consistency, because I think they've got more size, and I think they'll be able to play some more man coverage, which can maybe change how they approach defensively the scheme at times.
Yeah, and it's going to open up things underneath for, the exotic blitzes and things like that if you're in man, and then also just obviously giving the quarterbacks different looks. The tough thing about man, though, is if you don't have four guys that can play man, you're screwed. You can have three lockdown guys. If the fourth guy ain't worth a damn, it doesn't matter because his guy's going to be, taking the football to Pater. So, I think there is an opportunity this year. I think the length is definitely a part of that. Guys who are longer, as long as they don't take too long to change directions, can make up maybe if they're with their length, if they're not just a lockdown guy. So to hear that depth, it's reassuring, it's good, but also it's March 31st, or it was March 30th yesterday. How much of that's coach speak? I don't know.
Something we'll find out for sure once we see some more game action. A couple other things standing out to me early in camp: the nickel position, KJ Merrill, who had the big pick in the Military Bowl. Looks like he's taken the next step, ready to kind of be that starter. Also, UCF transfer Christian Peterson behind him has been solid, according to everything I'm hearing as well. And I just think the defense is going to be in a good spot. And safety Zaire Gamble, the App State transfer, is playing well in the back end. Also saw Kamari McKinley make a play late in practice yesterday. So I think you've got playmakers on defense, and clearly you want the quarterbacks to take care of the football better, so it's a double-edged sword there, but it is good to see some guys making plays, creating turnovers. So Friday will be the first scrimmage. There will be a practice Wednesday. We will not have any availability from a media perspective, but Friday we will get to see some of the scrimmage. It is First Responders Day, so if you are a first responder, you can check in at Gate 4 at 10 a.m. and at 10 for free. They want to get everybody out there to show appreciation for that. But we will get to see, I think, the last 30 minutes or so of the scrimmage, Phillip. I don't know how much good on good we'll see, but if you're the Pirates, what do you want to see in this scrimmage besides, obviously, no injuries, first and foremost?
Yeah, no injuries. Look, I think Blake Harrell has been preaching fundamentals a lot. He's kind of starting this team at square one. And I think, all the installs obviously not done. You want guys to know where they're supposed to go, of course. However, it's March. If a guy goes the wrong way in March, he's got plenty of time to get it figured out by August. I think you want to look like a fundamentally sound football team on both sides of the ball. Look like that you've been putting in the work, doing the little things that matter for the last 2.5 weeks that will put you in position to become an East Carolina Pirate and know what that means to become an East Carolina Pirate. So you just don't want to see sloppiness. You don't want to see lack of effort. You don't want to see all that stuff that really shouldn't have to be coached right now. You can worry about everything else later.
For me, I don't know how much we'll see of the quarterbacks competing for the starting position, but I just want to see Mitch Griffiths and Emory Williams and know that I can ideally win with both of them. I feel like it's very early, but it seems like a pretty close competition. I just want to see enough from them, playmaking ability, tight window throws, obviously making the right reads and not turning the ball over. But I want to feel comfortable with the quarterback position coming out of the first scrimmage. They don't have to go there and light it up. Just look functional. I don't want a scrimmage of spring of 2023 when I saw a lot of missed open throws, balls thrown on the ground, poor quarterback play, and I was concerned the rest of the offseason. So I just want to feel good about the quarterbacks if I'm ECU. You don't have to know who the starter is, just feel good about the position. So we'll have the latest for you following Friday's workout inside Dowdy Ficklen Stadium. Good to get some spring football talk in. If you guys got any more questions on football, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them throughout the remainder of the show. Continue to talk it throughout the week as we preview the Pirates' 2026 football season as well. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. Big game inside Clark LeClaire Stadium tonight. UNCW in town to take on the Pirates. We'll break that down next.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted.
Oh, hey. Welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Again, Hoist the Colors, segment 2 here on a Tuesday edition of the show. We talked a lot of spring football, segment 1. Kenny Curlin's in the chat asking, will we ever hear from our new coaches? So I did address a little bit of that in segment 1. You may have missed it, Kenny, but we are scheduled to hear from offensive coordinator Jordan Davis and defensive coordinator Jordan Hankins next Monday. I believe, next Monday at 11 a.m. Around there, we will hear from them. Now, we will also hear the following Monday from every assistant coach who we have not talked with at spring practice. We'll hear from them on April 13th. Now, we'll probably have to pre-record that day on the show. I believe so, depending on the schedule. I will keep you guys updated because that is around lunchtime that they're doing that, a little bit before that. So we will hear from the coaches before spring ball is over. At least we're scheduled to. That's what we're being told. So there's the latest on that. ECU baseball back in action tonight, hoping to get the bad taste out of its mouth after 2 walk-off losses on the road, a 1-3 week on the road, trying to get back in the win column. A lot of home games upcoming. ECU just 10-6 at home this year. Need to protect the home turf. It starts tonight with UNCW in town. It'll be 6 o'clock first pitch. 94.3 The Game will have coverage as March comes to an end. ECU did beat UNCW a few weeks ago in Wilmington for a 5-3 victory on March 4th. So they'll try to get the season sweep. We know Frank Saccone is going to get the start tonight, and Philip Pilkinen, who is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. I feel like you've been beating the drum. Not that I'm putting any pressure on you here. Like, Saccone doesn't need to go out and throw a gym. But we've kind of been saying he's been good as a starter and historically not so great as reliever at St. Joe's and his summer league stints. Tonight will be his first official start for ECU baseball, and his job is to go out and close out the first inning, see what happens from there. I just want to see him go out and throw strikes. Make UNCW earn it at least, if nothing else. Make them go out and hit the ball.
Yeah, if you're going to miss, man, miss over the white, right? Trust your defense, make them make a play. But, yeah, man, the pressure's on. Ever since you sent me the text this morning, I felt the pressure. Might need to go get a massage between now and then to relax a little bit. Because, look, I'm gonna have to take the heat if he ain't worth a damn. So, no, I'm just kidding. But, look, man, why not give the young man the opportunity? This is a guy who's, 14 starts, I think it was, last year at St. Joe's. So, clearly he knows how to start. Look, he's not going to replace GDK. He's not going to replace Colby Weber. But could he be a guy that goes out there for the next 7 weeks and gives you 4 innings of 1-run baseball? Maybe sometimes even 2-run baseball? Possibly. And you can live with that. I think you can live with his ERA being in the mid-4s and him getting you 3, 4. Hey, maybe he tosses a gem every now and again and gives you 5 innings. We're not asking Frank Saccone to be the second coming of Trey Savage, but we're asking him to be the Frank Saccone he was a year ago. I think this gives him the best opportunity to go out there and be that.
UNCW has been playing good baseball lately. They are 18-9. They are 6-1 on the road. They're 7-2 in the CAA through three weekends. They swept Elon. They took 2 out of 3 from Charleston, and they took 2 out of 3 from William and Mary. They've been up and down the midweek. Their last midweek game was a couple weeks ago against NC State. They lost 14-2. They did beat Charleston Southern the week before that, 18-2, and then obviously lost to ECU the week before that. Now, getting the start for them, I'm not gonna lie. This concerns me, Philip. Trey Williford is starting for UNCW. He is the son of Larry Williford, Farmville Central head coach in basketball. Obviously, one of the best basketball coaches in the state, and 6'3" lefty, 215 pounds, coming back home. He has made 8 appearances on the season, 2-1, 3.63 ERA, 22 innings. He has allowed 24 hits, but he struck out 29 against 9 walks. So he is going to throw strikes. He's got good stuff. He's still early in his career. He's a freshman. Kind of surprised that ECU was not able to get him out of high school. I think UNCW jumped on him early. He kind of improved from there. But this is you got your hometown guy coming back. I'm sure he's going to be pretty fired up to take the mound.
I'm sure he will be. There's going to be a lot of friends and family in the stands. I'm sure, of course, Larry Legend will be there, of course, to watch his son pitch. And, man, so, who's the pressure on? That's the question. Is the pressure on him, or is the pressure on the Pirates who didn't win the recruiting battle, right, to go out there and show why maybe you didn't want him if they didn't. I don't know if they officially offered him or not, but, this is interesting. And this was the basketball court, though. Because we know how it is when we don't recruit local guys when they come to Minji's, what happens. This was the basketball court. He'd be throwing the equivalent of a no-hitter. But, we'll see what happens. But that's pretty impressive, though. 3.6 ERA, 24 innings of work, I think you said, or 22 innings of work. Yep. 22 innings of work, 24 hits. For a young guy, he's got command. That's all you can ask for. So, our bats are going to have to be lively because if he's not going to give you free 90, so you better go out there and figure it out.
And really, he's had a couple of poor outings, but outside of that, he's been very good as a freshman. His first first appearance of the year, I should say, against Maryland, he allowed 4 runs in 1 inning. He bounced back through 4 1/3 clean against Merrimack. He did give up 4 hits, 3 runs, and 4 1/3 against Duke, but had multi-inning shutout appearances against UConn, Jacksonville, Elon, and Charleston before pitching on Sunday, an inning of work and walking 2, allowing those 2 runs. But really that's the only time he's kind of struggled with his command in a big way this year. So we'll see. And I'm sure it'll be a staff day for both pitching staffs. Do we see Brett and Tolick? Do we get back on the mound? Do we see Nick Moran? The other thing you got to keep in mind is you have a quick turnaround with the Thursday series starting for Easter weekend against Charlotte. So do you try to save some of these guys for that? And for me, offensively, man, I just want to see better at-bats. We talked about it. Williford's not going to be an easy pitcher to go against. But, just offensively against UTSA, and I know Friday was a pitcher's day, but the rest of the weekend, man, I just didn't see a whole lot offensively. It was just kind of disappointing, to be honest.
It was. Coach mentioned that the ball that Walker hit Friday was the hardest hit ball he'd ever hit and didn't even make the warning track, right? So you can blame Friday, I think, on Mother Nature. But they manufactured runs early in that game before Mother Nature roared her evil head. So Friday, I say pass in a pass-fail situation. Saturday, Sunday, man. Sunday the bats eventually woke up and did give the Pirates a lead. Well, I don't know if they woke up. They were given free 90s, and that's kind of what allowed them to come back. So, man, the approach this year has been a little inconsistent, it seems like. Like you see the manager's side of things with patience, and you see the hitting coach's side of thing with the aggressiveness. And, I think what's puzzling for me, Stephen, when it comes to this thing, and me and a friend of mine, I guess I won't throw him under the bus over the air, we're speaking about this the other day. Are you going with Cliff's approach, or are you going with Gotro's approach? And if you're going with Gotro's approach, does Gotro need to be the guy coaching third? Not every manager coaches third. And if it's Cliff's style, that's fine. But they have such contradictory styles, and it seems like each game there's some contradictory styles going on. Maybe it changes based on the pitcher. Maybe it changes based on the matchup. But I still just don't know the hitting philosophy of this team. Should Gotro maybe be the guy out there making these decisions? I don't know.
I mean, that's a fair question. He is obviously running the offense from the dugout, or at least instructing the hitters heavily, but then you have Cliff running the offense from third base. So, yeah, it's a valid question. Only internally they probably know. It's still just been such a weird year. ECU we're now more than half a season through, and they have walked or been hit by pitches 160 times compared to 140 strikeouts. So they're still getting on base at a free pass at a higher rate than striking out, but yet they don't steal any bases and they don't hit for any power. So, I guess it kind of minimizes it. And they probably I don't know the numbers, but they probably have grounded to a pretty high number of double plays as well. So it's just been a weird year, man.
And see, the thing is, I like when you can, get the free 90s. I mean, that's great. Getting on base is getting on base. The tough thing is when you rely on the walks a lot, and then you don't have any power. 2 walks in an inning, that's just a guy on first and second base. That didn't do much.
A lot of lack of clutch hitting certain games seems to multiply. So it's like you get guys on base, but you can't hit with runners in scoring position consistently. So it's been maddening for everybody outside the program. I know it's been tough for the guys inside the program too. So we'll see. Tonight, 6 o'clock, game number 30 of the season. We'll see what it holds. UNCW ECU, 6 o'clock inside Clark LeClaire Stadium. We do have an interesting question from Hunter I want to get to. He wants to know what is one of the toughest losses from our teams that we're still not over. So we'll save that for segment 4. That's in honor of Phillips Dukies losing on Sunday the way they did. We'll hit that segment 4. Next, we'll jump around the American and baseball, take a look at the conference as a whole after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive, north of the airport, Greenville.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Good. You don't have to tell me twice. I'll remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 93.3 The Game.
Welcome back into Hoist the Colors, segment 3 here. Talk a little bit more baseball. Really interesting question from Hunter that I want to get to in segment 4. We were going to take a look at our updated bracket, but we will instead, in segment 4, answer his question, which was, with Pilks Dookies choking on Sunday, as a sports fan, what's one of the worst losses from your teams that you are still not over? I've got a few that we'll save for segment 4. Both are for ECU, for the Mariners, and for the Denver Broncos. So I'll discuss those. I'm sure Philip has plenty as well.
Oh, yeah.
Along with his many championships. What a poor Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
And,
I will say there's
Celtics
no
fan.
Yeah, I don't have any Red Sox in there. I can't complain. I've seen 4 World Series.
Yeah. You're living the life, unlike many older Red Sox fans. All right, let's look around the American and baseball, because obviously we talk a lot of ECU, but the Pirates are going to be in the fight to try to get towards the upper part of the standings right now. They're 3-3. If you look at the standings as a whole, that puts ECU, technically speaking, in 7th place, I believe, per the American. I guess they just are sorting these by overall records at this point, because there's 4 3-3 teams.
Yeah.
South Florida, Charlotte, Rice, ECU are all 3-3. UTSA, Wichita State, and UAB are all 4-2, and then FAU, Tulane, and Memphis are all 2-4. So you got 10 teams in the league, and everybody is really only separated by 2 games from top to bottom. So you still have a lot of baseball left. I mean, I know that people are freaking out for good reason after a series loss to UTSA. The Pirates are looking up at UTSA. The Roadrunners have the tiebreaker, but ECU has already taken a series from a team that's 4-2 in UAB. The Blazers swept Tulane, which looks like they're kind of down this year. Wichita State has surprisingly won both of its series, taking 2 from Charlotte and taking 2 from Memphis. What do you make thus far of these standings, Philip, if anything? I mean, there's just seems like a lot of mediocreness here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, so look, UAB, yeah, they swept Tulane. Tulane's under 500 overall. They did win a series, but they beat Memphis. Now, to be fair, part of the reason they're under 500, they'd go out to UCLA, who, I don't know if some major league teams can beat UCLA right now. But still, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's much to take away from this right now. Can we just punt on this segment till next week? I think next week it's going to be more. I mean, it's hard to call anybody mediocre because it's like who you've played factors into this too. Again, the reason Tulane's 4-2 or has 4 wins is because they played Tulane. Or sorry, the reason UAB is 4-2 is they played Tulane. But then they lost 2-1 to the competent team that they played. That also lost 2 to the team another team who's tied for first. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think after this next week, we'll have a little bit more of a picture. I mean, we got 6 conference series left, I think, in this thing. So I think you play 9 league series. So only not even a third of the way through.
Well, what I will say is it's pretty clear that any team that's able to sweep a team is going to make a big move in the standings.
Yes.
And so I think, am I right in saying that UAB's sweep of Tulane is the only sweep through 2 weeks of league play?
Yep.
So, I mean, that sent UAB from basically last place into tied for first. And obviously, look, we're very early, but if for all the doom and gloom out there, if ECU goes out and sweeps Charlotte, which, I mean, the odds of that are probably long, but if they do it, then all of a sudden you could be back tied for first place. So, any chance you have to gain an extra game with a sweep is going to be a big deal for teams in these standings. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is just overall, you do have 6 of your teams right now in the top 65 in RPI. So 60% of your league is in the top 65 in RPI. UTSA is 47, UAB is 41, South Florida is 38, Charlotte 64, Rice is 59, ECU is 52. And then you have a lot of teams that are well below 100. But, this is the first time I can remember this much of the league being in a potential at-large position, at least from an RPI metric standpoint.
Yeah, which is huge, which gives you the opportunity moving forward. If you handle business in those series, you feel like you're in a good spot. What you actually need, and this sounds crazy, you want to handle business in every single one of those series, but you want those other teams to then handle business against the bottom, right? The teams who are outside that top 60, whatever number you just said, 64, I think, in RPI, you don't want them to jump up and upset any of these other teams. You want these other teams winning as many games as possible, especially their midweeks, because some of these teams still have midweeks against SECs, and then you handle them. And that's the best thing. And then when they play each other, you pretty much just don't want sweeps. You want them to go 2-1 against Team X and then 1-2 against Team Y. Is kind of how you want it to play out, and that's the best thing for East Carolina.
So East Carolina will play Charlotte, which again is 64th in the RPI. Both teams head into the weekend. 3-3 in the league, so this is a key series. We'll get more into it later this week. Then ECU gets Tulane on the road. And despite Tulane being 200 in RPI, which I think is last in the league, it is even worse than Memphis. I still expect them to play above their heads in New Orleans because that's typically how it goes. It's the Corey Glore, curse. It'll
curse
ever
of Corey
live on.
Glore,
So.
yeah.
All right, well, we'll do that. We'll just punt the rest of the segment the next week, and that way we can get a break in. We can talk about Hunter's question. How about that?
Oh man,
I think
this is worse. Let's keep talking about the baseball standings.
Mediocre baseball standings or heartbreaking losses? What's worse? I say we go to the heartbreaking losses. Pain creates misery, and misery loves company. So let's do that. On the other side, we'll address Hunter's question. If we have time after that, we'll take a brief look at the Final Four, see how many teams we got right with our picks as well. This is Hoisted Colors on a Tuesday.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here, Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. We were initially going to just run over our brackets and see how many Final Four teams we got, which, I mean, that would probably be heartbreaking enough, especially for Philip. But instead, we'll discuss a great question from Hunter, albeit a painful one. Show topic: with Pilk's Dukies choking on Sunday, as a sports fan, what's one of the worst losses from your teams that you're still not over? And it's hard to go just one.
Yeah.
We got several good submissions in the chat, so we can just kind of spit them out here. I'll go one, and then you can go one, and we'll just volley it back and forth. How about that?
Okay.
I'll start ECU. I mean, look, you can't take a knee and lose the football game. I mean, that's all you have to say. The UCF fell, Mary. This was also my final football game at home as a student, running Hoist the Colors, and you just can't take a knee and lose a football game. And ECU found a way to do that against UCF. It was the final home game of Shane Carden, Justin Hardy. They led a incredible comeback, should have won, should have gone out in glory, and then took a knee multiple times, then went backwards like 20 yards, and before you know it, UCF was completing a Hail Mary to Brashad Perryman. In a moment, as I was standing on the field on the opposite end, I will never forget, because most of the stadium had left thinking the game was over, and everybody on the sideline thought the game was over, and it was just like, oh wait, he called that? You got to be kidding me! And absolute disaster, still a disaster to this day, and that was really one of the downfalls. I mean, that whole season was riddled with just ridiculous losses, from the Temple game where they fumbled 55 times to the bowl game. By the way, they lost final pass of Carden's career picked off in the end zone by Vernon Hargraves. But, yeah, UCF Hail Mary, I will never get over that one, and nobody ever should.
Yeah. I think that's the consensus amongst Pirate fans.
Yeah.
I mean, my number one's got to be Coach K's last game. I mean, you Carolina doesn't even make the tournament unless you don't blow the game in Cameron. And then I think it would be a little better maybe if Duke and Carolina at least once met in the tournament. Like, at least I've seen, like, Sox Yankees play in the playoffs multiple times. I mean, you go all the way back to the play-in game in 49. You know, they've got postseason history before there was even American League playoffs. But, yeah, to lose the first ever Duke-Carolina tournament game and be Coach K's last game in the Final Four, that one's engraved.
Still sits with you.
Yeah.
The ECU Liberty Bowls, you can go either year with Skip Holtz against Kentucky. I was there as a fan, and ECU was driving for the potential game-winning score. Fumble. I think it was Norman Whitley who fumbled, and the Kentucky defensive lineman picks it up, stiff arms Patrick Pinckney's helmet off his face, and runs to the end zone for the go-ahead score. The next year, Ben Hartman misses not one, not two, but 3 field goals in the Liberty Bowl late, and Arkansas ends up kicking the game winner. That was brutal. So, yeah, any Liberty Bowl, I did go back there to cover the Memphis game in 2021 and saw ECU win, so that was good. I exercised some demons that day, but ECU's
in overtime.
A lot of painful ones, man. Yep, that's right.
Shout out to Ryan Silverfield for going for 2 when he didn't have to.
Yeah, stupid decision.
Well, when there's a ball laying on the ground and you have a chance to dive on it, you should dive on it. You know, especially if you're a professional athlete. You know,
Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl. Like, I'm over the first one. The first one, Carolina played their tail off. New England made one more play. Good job, New England. Denver did not play well. Peyton threw for 97 yards. And you lost the game by 2 scores. I mean, what are you doing? They didn't even look like they wanted to win the game. I mean, that was absolutely horrible. That one I can't get over because I don't feel like Denver had to earn it. I feel like Carolina just gave it away.
Denver fully played not to lose and won comfortably doing that because Carolina just gave it away between the strip sack allowed. That was one of the best days of my life and one of the worst days of Philip. Sorry, Philip. Broncos for me. Yeah, the Broncos-Ravens 2012 season AFC divisional game. Had it won. And Joe Flacco, the Hail Mary, the Mile High Miracle, as they call it. Absolute ridiculous freaking defense by Raheem Moore, who just went like that instead of knocking the ball down to Jacoby Jones for the game-time score. They win in overtime. I'll never forget that one. That's the most painful Broncos because that, to me, was the best Denver team.
Yeah.
And Baltimore went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So
that was frustrating, but the play against Pittsburgh in the 05 AFC Championship game too, like, I mean, I feel like it's a little more forgiven because it was Champ Bailey, and it's like, man, it was like the one bad play of his career. But that one hurt too. Just as far as kind of, sorry, I'm not like trying to add on to your pain, but my next one, I mean, look, you can never guarantee you're going to win Game 7, but when you're up and you don't allow 2 goals in 18 seconds to lose Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to go Game 6, Boston Bruins, Stanley Cup Finals, 2013. It's the Blackhawks.
It's more than fair. Yeah. Anytime you get that deep in the playoffs, it hurts. Just
2
like
goals
last
in 18
year.
seconds. Thanks, Tuca.
2 goals in 18 seconds is hard to do.
Yeah.
Last year for me, the Mariners had the lead, 7th inning ALCS. Still hurts to this day. It hasn't been that long, but it's going to hurt me until they make the World Series because should have won that game. Should have gone to Andres Munoz instead. George Springer hits the go-ahead home run. Blue Jays win it, go to the World Series. That one became my number one Mariners' most vivid, painful memory after the Yordan Alvarez hit a walk-off in Game 1 of the 2022 ALDS that was similar circumstances that changed that series entirely, but that was painful.
My one baseball one, I guess, is the Ivan Melendez home run in Game 2 of the Super Regional. I still don't think the ball's landed. I think it got hit into orbit. I think it's still just kind of floating around up there in outer space.
We did get a lot of submissions about the Texas Super Regional game, the blown lead there. Somebody mentions Brian Wallace says, never forget the Tulsa screw job. Davy Jones has a good one. That was a bad one. Marshall coming back in the 2001 GMAC Bowl versus ECU when Logan was the coach. ECU had a 38-8 lead at halftime and lost the game. Byron Leftwich versus David Garrard. That would probably be my dad's most painful. I still remember him having nightmares about that game. And we do have a submission for the Arkansas Liberty Bowl. Scott says missing a field goal to knock off NC State in 22. Poor Owen Daffer. And Ryan Cole says the infield fly ruling in the Braves wildcard game brought an unfair ending to Chipper Jones's career, completely changed the momentum of that game. That was a terrible call. That was a brutal day. So good thoughts. And yeah, I don't want to say good thoughts. Painful thoughts. Game 2 of the Texas Tech Super Regional as well. That's one that easily could have had ECU and Omaha well long ago. Instead, we're still waiting. So
I got a submission for the 1971 freshman team versus the Citadel, winning 6-0. We punted out of our own end zone. Snap hit the punter in the chest. They recovered it and kicked an extra point. The next week was an open week more hell than I have experienced.
All right. I mean, that's a pull right there, but that sounds like an excruciating way to lose a football game.
That is, yeah. That was the ECU freshman team, by the way, in 1971.
Gosh. All right. What a note to end on. Appreciate Hunter for that. If I missed your comments, I apologize. We got a lot. Try to get them all in at the buzzer. But always good to get a little off topic and have some fun, or in this case, remember some pain. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back tomorrow. James Giglio will recap ECU UNCW, look ahead to the Charlotte series, the Final Four, and a whole lot more. This is Hoist the Colors.